You guys ready to trash on this godforsaken company?
It's been a long time
like
coming, man.
Warner Brothers. All right, guys, welcome back to part 2 of our discussion with Disney and Warner Brothers. I am Matt Fiscone yet again here with Darius and Max with a new background with a Logan poster. And actually, we were kind of like, we were talking about a little bit whether it was Logan or like a Schindler's List poster. It turns out it's a Logan poster.
Leave it down in the comments below. How similar does that look?
Yeah, still amazing movie. So guys, in part 1, we talked about Disney. Now we're going to transition over to another topic in Warner Brothers. And for this time, I don't know about you guys, but this is like been kind of crawling up my skin lately. Because if you kind of like think about it for a bit, they've had these projects that they were going to do. They have the rights to DC Comics, the rights to some famous characters that we grew up like Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, The Flash, and here comes the DCEU, which we all know of like a mess that is. Obviously, Marvel has been a main priority of theirs for years. But the one thing that Marvel was able to do right was they were able to build up those characters leading up to the first Avengers movie. Like they got they were able to make a solo Iron Man movie, Captain America, Thor. We didn't get Hawkeye or Black Widow, at the time, but fans knew about them enough to the point where, they just assumed that we would go along with it. And surely enough, we got along with them. But here it's like everything that the DCU has done and still has been doing to this day is just rushing through everything without even building a damn thing. And it pains me that they're not even like a step and not even an inch closer to what Marvel has been doing.
It's basically
it's really annoying.
Them throwing random shit at a dartboard and just seeing what sticks. The thing with Marvel, they were able to bring lesser known actors into the mainstream. They brought lesser known characters from their comics into the spotlight. Like they basically started this entire trend of other studios trying their own cinematic universes. I'm looking at you, Dark Universe. And the thing is with Marvel, not all the movies are masterpieces by any means. Hell, I don't think really any of them are on Scorsese. But at least they're able to keep like a good head on like consistency with their world building and what their characters are involved in and stuff like that. You could say that when Snyder was behind the chair for the DCEU, that stuff was basically going, I wouldn't say smoothly, but at least you can't tell me now that Snyder didn't at least have a plan, because goddamn it, he did. Soon as he left, just completely shit the bed. I mean, the entire Justice League situation with, I wasn't even made aware of it until Ray Fisher basically broke his silence on Instagram, and man, it was a spectacle to behold.
It's such an annoying thing just to even, because even we're not even really behind it all now, because it's still going on. It's just this whole thing about like, it just seems random. Everything that happens just seems like every movie that comes out, it's like, it's a character that we own. Screw it. Let's just like see if it works. Like, people thought that Harley Quinn was okay. Let's make a Birds of Prey movie. People like Michael Keaton as Batman. Bring him back. Stick him in the Flash. Screw it. Like there's not really any like build up. Like even though there was a significant less amount of build up to the first Justice League movie, like at that time, you could still you could still see like, like Man of Steel led into BVS, which then set up Justice League. But now it's just kind of like we've got some movies this year.
With
there was DC characters.
With each step they take, they're basically tearing down the entire DCEU's continuity, like with each passing step, to the point where it's like, is anything really even connected to anything anymore? Unless they have a gifted proctologist to yank their head out of their asses, or someone gets a brutal level epiphany, I don't think the DCEU is gonna really recover, even with the litany of good movies that they do have under their belts. And not to mention, it's not even just the quality of the movies that they have; it's also who they have starring in the movie. They completely dropped Henry Cavill. Ben Affleck was going to direct his own Batman movie, which was going to be based off of Batman Arkham Origins, which would have been glorious, but that's being turned into Matt Reeves is the Batman, so I guess that is sort of a blessing in disguise.
I think the main problem, well, probably not the main problem. There's so many problems, but one of the big ones is that I think Warner Bros. Needs to stop being so overbearing and kind of like, I don't know, behind the scenes kind of biased to certain things, because you've seen like all of the movies that I'm thinking of that I feel like I really love that they've made recently, whether it be DCEU or like DC connected like Joker, is when they just like when the directors are allowed to just do their thing. Like Wonder Woman was incredible, and it had very, compared to like things like Suicide Squad, very minimal like nitpicking and stuff. And you see and their worst movies for me are like Suicide Squad and the theatrical Justice League, where like they are the most heavily like hacked together studio pieces that you could possibly find. And I think that they've got things that they could go with. Like they don't, like, it also is a point where I feel like they need to be open to doing more things, like they have Joker and Matt Reeves as Batman, and just kind of do a bunch of separate things, like, because those seem to be the ones that are working. Like maybe not exclusively, like you can still have like the DCEU, but like if they had a lot of side projects and even I feel like taking things like the old DCEU as another side project alongside a bunch of other things would be great, just in the terms of like they can make money, a bunch of different creators could get to tell their stories, and they like wouldn't be able to piss off a bunch of people, because it seems that they have things like inevitably going to come up. Zack Snyder's Justice League was such a big success, and it crashed services for HBO Max around the world, and it broke the Twitter trending record for something to do with movies. Like it beat Endgame, and yet they're still like, it's fine, we can just leave it. That's a lot of money that they've seemed to just kind of be tossing aside because of some behind the scenes drama. And it's weird.
I said before that like Warner Brothers needs to do things differently. Like Joker was something completely beyond different, kind of like way darker than we were kind of expecting it, to be. Like we saw from the trailers how dark it was, but we didn't know in full length how, sort of extreme how it would be. And I kind of want to shift over to one movie in Joker into another in the Batman, because it was actually a couple days or a week ago, I believe, that it was originally supposed to be released in theaters. And because of the whole pandemic, it got pushed back to later this year, and then it got pushed back again to March of next year. And they're doing reshoots at the moment. And now they are having second thoughts about the movie. And I made a video about this if you guys haven't really checked it out. Basically, me just talking about that rumor of how Warner Brothers has kind of had a history having a tendency of just like trashing on the projects that we've been so forward to see. And now it's like this one is like the latest project to be in that and shed that kind of light. Darius, do you think that Warner Brothers is not going to show Matt Reeves' vision of the Batman, or do you think that it's going to be in a similar situation that the Justice League like suffered?
I can't help but feel like this is probably going to be a situation similar to Justice League because, well, I honestly have no idea as to why, because they pretty much let the shit that went, because on one hand they let the shit that went down on Joker went down as it did without pretty much any interruptions. But like I mentioned earlier, with Warner Brothers pretty much copyright claiming the entire spoiler thing on the Matrix 4, and given how dark and serious and twisted those movies are, to a lesser extent, it's almost like Warner Brothers has a bit of a double standards on what they allow and what they actually want to go down, which is such a big shame, because I was almost convinced that the Batman was actually connected to the 2019 Joker. So I'm like, if they really are sort of connected in that sort of way, why not keep up with the same aesthetic and the pacing and the tone to make it feel like it's actually in the same universe? How you could even make how you can make your own DC extended universe that way without having to sort of tie into the one you already got, because the current one's just a mess as it is. It's one of those situations in which you have like a controlling dad embarrassing himself trying to get his kids back.
God, it's such an annoying thing to see the same things happening all over again. Like I feel like I'm stuck in some sort of Groundhog Day loop where we can't get nice things because it just keeps getting reshot over and over again. I I don't think that it will be as bad as Justice League. Like I don't think it will be like a similar situation. I feel like it will be a slightly worse version of a film that we like the film that we would have got. I feel like it will be worse, but I don't think it will be. I'm not too familiar with the situation, so I'm kind of a bit. I might be talking nonsense here, but like I don't think that with Matt Reeves being there, like still, and like kind of overseeing everything, that it won't be like the worst reshoots that overhaul the entire thing that we know to begin with, but it's
Right.
still just annoying. Just trust the people to make movies, and like it's not like people wouldn't have seen it. People were like, this movie is probably one of the most hyped movies I've like that exists right now, like, and it's not even coming out for another year. And like I would probably say, like, if someone was like, oh, you know, take the most hyped film of like this year, like the most hyped blockbuster movie of this year, would you replace it with the Batman? And I would say like a good majority of people would be like, yeah, I'd replace it with the Batman. I'd like to see that right now.
This
And
is
it's
Yeah.
serious. This is serious, like deja vu situation, because I remember back like when the Suicide Squad trailer came out. I remember people got hyped over that one. Then the actual film came out, and it was a lot less likely than that. I was one of the few people who fell into that trap, and I was in deep denial for a long time. But eventually, it just sort of clicked to me. So it's like so it so it's like we saw glimpses of what it could have been in the trailer, but now that it's actually been pushed back like another year or so, it's almost like it's inevitable at the point that some changes are going to happen that basically cripple the potential that the film could have had it been released in this released in the state that we got it. And if certain heads of the state actually paid attention to the ongoing pandemic that was going on right now. And then there's also Warner Brothers handling some sort of domestic situations like rather boneheadedly. Like, you're aware of the whole Johnny Depp situation with Amber Heard, how Amber Heard was the one abusing him, and that somehow got him fired from the third Fantastic
Is
Beasts movie.
I
And
I think Darius, you sent a post about her. Is she signed on with the second Aquaman, or is she like completely out of it?
James Wan Bloody had a post directed to Amber, basically saying "Welcome home." So that's pretty much saying, she's on she's on Aquaman too. Trust me, if Theron was on this right now, he'd be flipping livid.
there's so many just questionable decisions that like it feels like any person would see that as obviously like the thing to not do, but it just all of those seem to happen and manifest themselves in these movies. Like
Yeah.
I just don't see like, and it's also just like that whole like the new Superman movie situation. It almost feels like the only reason why they're doing it as a Clark Kent movie rather than like, you know, like actual like Calvin Ellis or any of those other characters that like is it just purely seems to be another way for them to just be like, oh, Henry Cavill not Superman anymore, and it just kind of it has those undertones of like all of the things that they're doing now are to kind of wash away everything that's come before in this weird way. It's weird.
It's a really tough situation, especially for the Batman, because Max, in case you don't know, there have been reports that Warner Brothers, saw like a screening of it that, that Matt Reeves kind of submitted, and they did not like it because it was like too dark, and it didn't.
Bullshit.
They felt like it wasn't going to be a mainstream appeal for like some of the fans out there. And I get it, it's Batman. He's gone through some phases. He's been in some serious roles, in like shows or movies where it's kind of like kid friendly, but then there are other adaptations of Batman where we kind of see him in a darker side that we never necessarily knew about. So I feel like this movie is kind of needed for like those who are familiar with Batman, who knows that he has a dark past, who knows that he could have like a sinister side than we have been so used to seeing him in. And now Warner Brothers is just saying, F you to all you guys. We're gonna, this is not the person that we're seeing him as. We're gonna view him in a light that that only you guys know him as. I mean, it's tough. It's tough.
Especially considering like all of the things that I've heard from that Batfleck movie, with like Deathstroke being like, his mission of like killing everyone close to Bruce to kind of like to make him like so emotionally vulnerable to like and breaking him down to the point where in the finale it really is this like it's like raw emotions are out. Batman is on his last ropes, and like and they're doing this apparently like the finale was like this chase through Gotham City, like and them kind of basically trying to kill one another, and like it's fascinating, and I would have loved to see that. And I also really want to see the like this original Matt Reeves Batman movie without all of this stuff, and I don't see like back to that with Warner Bros. Like, oh, it's too dark. It's Batman. It's Batman. Like, what do they expect? And it's also a movie that's inspired by Seven, which is one of
and Zodiac.
Yeah, and Zodiac. Those are two really dark movies as well. Like, what were they expecting the final product to be? Like,
both movies considered to be on the best like psychological crime movies like of all time. You put that into a really famous comic book character, that's basically that's originality right there. Like, sure, you're taking like a concept that's been used before, but you're like putting your own spin on it into like a mainstream character or like a mainstream story, which is like the pieces that you need to make a damn good movie or like a damn good story in general.
Showcasing all of that in a trailer like that is guaranteed to put people's butts in seats. Like, what is the matter
with
you? Like, they did a whole live event where the Batman was the main takeaway from it. Like, they did a whole hours-long live stream event, and everyone came out and was like, the Batman looks wicked.
I guarantee you, I think the next one is this October. I guarantee you it's going to happen again this year. They're going to save Batman again for the very, very last, the last couple minutes of the event where they're going to show the next trailer. And everyone, and that's literally going to be the only thing that like they're going to be talking about again, because this movie is bigger than anything else that DC is like has in line for them. Hell, I'll even say it's even a bigger project than what Marvel, like has in line. We can talk about, WandaVision, Falcon, Winter Soldier, Low-Key, Mandalorian. I mean, we could talk about that stuff, but with the Batman, it's like people are talking about this more. And it should say something to Warner Brothers that they should push the narrative on this project.
Every good chance that they get, they seem to turn something potentially incredible into this watered down version of what it could be. And no matter what seems to come out from them, it just seems to be like we can't get anywhere near the kind of vision that the directors want to bring to the project anymore. I kind of feel like, especially like if the Batman isn't safe, then what other project can we have that we realistically would be like, do you know what, nothing's gonna derail that. And that makes me worried.
Both people's trust in both companies have been deteriorating as of late. But
yeah,
as much as I hate to say it, Disney, it feels like Disney's going to be on top longer because they're still going to release stuff and people are still going to chomp at the bit to see it. Warner Brothers, not so much.
To anyone who's watching this video, what do you have to say about, our topic? How do you feel about Disney? How do you feel about Warner Brothers? Please, by all means, leave your thoughts and comments down below in the video, whether this will be on Instagram or on YouTube, most likely on YouTube. But on that note, we are all out of time. Darius and Max, it's been an honor and a pleasure for you to come on into Fish and Films, and hopefully this will not be the last time that you will appear on here. For those who don't know who Darius and Max are, I'm going to be posting both of their links of their Instagram accounts in the bio or the description or in the description box down below. And also, fun fact, Max released a short film, a mystery / thriller, The Downfall Architect. It's really, really good. I'm also going to leave that in the box down below. And, stay tuned. Yes, as well as mine. So stay tuned for more discussion videos to come, because until next time, I'm Matt Fish Viscioni, and this has been Fish and Films, signing off. I just love how you all went along with that. That's awesome.